Namaste, I'm Dr. Nikhita, and welcome to my interview series where we are collaborating with distinguished personalities from the health and wellness industry. Today, we have an entrepreneur without whose product no kitchen can run. He draws his business inspiration from his roots in Rajasthan and plans to revolutionize this essential commodity. He is Himanshu Vyas, the founder of Lunn. A very warm welcome to you, Himanshu.
Thank you, Nikita. Thanks for creating this call during tough times, and it's something new which uh, really got me excited, and it's a new thing to do. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Himanshu. We would like to know a little bit about you. If you could just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I did my engineering in chemicals and started working in a company where we used to handle honey processing and exports. Since then, I realized that I would like to do more into the food business. And those were the days of during the year say 2008, when I started reading a lot about organic food and natural food and food which are having no intervention of any processing or chemicals. That time I decided I would do something in the organic food industry, which led me to attend some exhibitions. So there is one exhibition which is dedicated to organic food called BioFac, which happened in Mumbai. So that was the first experience with organic food in India. And then there I got to know that in Germany uh, there is a very big organic food show, which is the world's biggest food show, and I decided to go there to have more knowledge. And then when I landed there, I saw products which were like out of the out of my thinking capacity.
Right.
And then after visiting a lot of booths and a lot of stores, I found salt as an interesting uh, section. Like we have varieties of dals, we have varieties of rice. There I realized there are varieties of salts as well. So that really got me excited to explore my journey more into salts.
Okay, right. That's really
So
fantastic.
that's how I started exploring salts. That's how I started learning more about salts.
Right, right. Yes. And I mean, you are definitely well versed with the organic food industry quite a lot. And I think, I believe also the salt which you have is bio certified. And also, it has been certified by a lot of different other international bodies as well, right? So, I mean, I just want to know that how has your journey been? Like, with this whole idea which came about, and what has been your inspiration? So, you can just tell us a little about that.
Yeah, I'll tell you about the journey, but just to correct you on the bio certification of salt. So salt cannot be organic certified because anything which comes from animal or plant source can only be organic certified. Salt being a mineral cannot be claimed as organic certified. So, I mean, there are brands who are misleading the consumers saying their salt is organic certified. There cannot be a salt which can be organic certified. What you can do at the most is the process, the harvest process can be organic, and there is no certification as such, but you can ensure that there are some private certification bodies who are willing to come and inspect the process and give you a certification which says your harvest process is organic, but not the salt.
Okay.
So that's a little bit on people are asking for organic salt. So there is no certified organic salt as such because it's a mineral, sodium chloride. So it can't be organic. So coming back to the original question, the journey. Uh, I think the journey has been it's been a great learning curve, and as days progress, I learn more about salts, and I think I can learn about salts my entire life. There is so much to do in salts. So, as I said, I went to this show. And I saw a lot of varieties of salts coming from different sources, different processes, and sea salt. As you know, if you just Google microplastic in sea salt, since we are dumping all the waste into the sea, it's no more an healthier option. So people in the Western countries were looking at other sources of salts which are more clean, unpolluted, has no touch with any contamination. So I started with importing a lot of salts from around the world. So I have salts from Austria, Germany, Persia, the Himalayan pink salt from Pakistan, and there is salts from Hawaii, Poland, Persia. So all these salts have a different sourcing story. It has different characteristics, different taste profiles, different minerals, and every salt has its own USP to it in terms of the mineral value and the taste value. So when I was promoting these salts in the Indian market, I always had this quest: why not have a salt from India, which is as good as your any natural salt, which has a lot of minerals. In this quest, I found a salt coming from the desert of Rajasthan, which I believe is a good salt in terms of consuming it on a regular basis. So Rajasthan is my hometown. My birthplace is in a small town called Falodi, which is close to Jodhpur. And there is a patch of land which is producing such natural salts. My grandfather has some salt pans, and I remember during my childhood vacations, I used to go with him during the vacations to see the salt pans. So that salty thing was there inside me, which got touched when I saw a lot of salts. I think there was some genetic connection with this product. So that really got me excited, and then I uh, started visiting the salt pans again with a point of view of finding the answers which came into my mind regarding the salt. So we did a lot of test analysis on the minerals, and we found a lot of minerals. Like we have tested around 80 minerals in it.
Okay.
And of course the source is the groundwater, which is very pure. So just to give you some information about this process, this salt, we call it desert salt because category is more important. When the salt comes from the sea, we call it sea salt.
Right.
When it comes through the mining, we call it the rock salt. Since it was coming from desert, so I said it as a desert salt. Some consumers do misinterpret it as desert salt with a double S. They think this salt is only used for cooking desserts, but that's not the case. It comes from the deserted land of Rajasthan. So that's how I started finding more about this salt from desert. So to explain the process, it's very simple. Natural rainwater falls on this saline patch of land. It seeps all the minerals in the land and it gets collected in the ground. And then there are old wells, like probably 100 years old. And this well, it collects this saline water, which is like super rich in minerals.
Okay.
And this naturally purified water is then pumped into the salt pans, and the natural sun dries it up, and you get is a salt which is packed with minerals. The entire process is still hand harvested. We are not using any machines in harvesting the salts.
Okay.
uh, yeah,
Yes.
so that's the
Yeah. That's really very interesting to know because, like you said that there are different types of salts. So in Ayurveda, salt is known as sendhav or lavan. So even in Ayurvedic texts, we have a different classification of different types of salts. So beginning from Sendha, which is Sendha, which is the best type according to the reference in Ayurveda. Then we have got Sorvachal. Then we have got Beed Lavan. Then we have got Audbhid. we have got Samudra Lavan. Then we have also got Krishna Lavan, which is the black salt. And then we have got one last variety, which is the Sambar, which is salt derived from the soil. So these are the different salts, and each salt has got a different property. So that is why when it comes to Sendha, it's got called the best, and then followed by the different classifications. So I mean, like in terms of, I do know you have different types of salts. So how would you suggest, like in your range of different salts, how does it stand apart? And I know there are different salts even in the market out there. Of course, I'm talking about the Ayurvedic reference, but there are different salts available in the market. So how do you distinguish as a brand when it comes to your salts and the different salts which are there in the market? Because you beautifully explained us. So if you would like
Yeah.
to,
So I would never rank a salt as this is the number one or this is the number two or number three. Like how can you rank any rice? Can you rank any dals? Every dal has its own protein levels and or nutrition levels. So it's not like that. This is the best dal and this is the worst dal. There is nothing like that. Every salt has its own uh,
different property.
story on properties and own capabilities. The most important aspect right now lies is how it has been served to you, how it has been handled during the journey, because that has changed since from Ayurveda till now. So during Ayurveda, there was no machines, no pollutants, no contaminants that can contaminate the process or the source. I mean, if sea salt with no contamination, no pollution is also good salt. It has a lot of minerals in it. But since now, things have changed. We have been using the sea and polluting it quite a lot. So hence it has become not so advisable kind of salt because of the contaminants in it. So I think we have to look at a very different perspective and try to know how the salt has been sourced. I think this is the most important thing that the consumer should know. And I know consumers don't have so much of time, to identify how their salt is. But if they just put in a little bit of effort, because salt is something you are consuming daily, and I firmly believe whichever thing you are consuming daily, like you breathe air daily, you always worry about the quality of the air. So that's how you should be concerned about the salt, because this is something which we are having daily. So you should not be compromising it on it. Like water also, whenever we buy a packaged water, we always make sure that it is of good brand, properly sealed, because water is something which you are consuming daily. So I believe most important thing, what I feel, is the process. If you should know how your salt is getting processed and handled during the entire supply chain, and when it comes to your kitchen. So this is more important, I feel. And it's very interesting to know so many varieties of salts already mentioned in Ayurveda. Probably I would like to know more from your side also, whichever types of salt you have mentioned. Is there a story behind it? Is there a process behind it? What, how they are distinguished? That can be one good learning curve from me from this call.
Yes, definitely. So, the way Ayurveda looks at salt really is, like you mentioned, it is an essential commodity. And since it's such an essential element of everyday food, so the Ayurvedic way of looking at food is that it has to have six different tastes, right? So, it has to have sweet, sour, salty, bitter, astringent, and pungent. So, these are the six different tastes which every meal should have in order for our body to get properly digested, assimilated, processed into useful bioproducts, right? So that is very important, that every meal consists of these six tastes. And when it comes to salt, salt is an essential element which we add in our food and also in different medicines, because the property of salt is that it creates a certain process in our body which enhances the digestive fire, or you can say metabolism. Okay, and this in turn makes sure that whatever food we eat gets the salivary or the digestive juices going, which is an important element of digestion. So the first instance of salt touching our tongue creates a certain reaction in our body, which complements the digestion. So that is why
Oh,
Ayurveda has this very interesting reference that, if you're feeling very like you're not feeling like eating food, or there are times when you feel a little nauseatic, or you just don't feel like having food. There are certain times, you feel heavy. So during these times you can use an inch piece of ginger with a little salt, preferably sendha namak or rock salt you can take, and just have this before having meal. So this just stimulates the salivary juices and gets going the digestion, and you also at a mental level feel like having food. So it's completely attuned to your mind and body. So yes,
okay.
that is the depth of how Ayurveda looks at salt as a very essential element of food and lifestyle.
That's something really new, which I never knew that. And when you said it, I could realize it because I taste salt like every day. It's my when I see salt, I just feel like putting it in my mouth and just feel the flavor. And now I realize whatever you have explained is the things that I my body could sense and gets me excited, and it's already there written in Ayurveda. So it was not something new that I was experiencing. It was already experienced by some Ved gurus, and they have written it in Ayurveda.
Yes,
That's
yes.
good to know.
Thank you, Himanshu, because the whole concept of Ayurveda is so beautiful and it's so relevant in today's day and age. Is the whole purpose that we should be able to adapt it in a way wherein we can make the most of it, and of course have a healthy lifestyle, because Ayurveda always emphasizes on prevention, which is better than cure, of course. But the first criteria is to prevent any disorder. So it always talks about boosting the immunity, making sure all the body doshas are in balance. So it's always about prevention first. So yeah, so that is the whole beauty of Ayurveda, really. So, speaking of these different salts, which you just mentioned some time ago, that a lot of people or consumers are confusing it with desert, like the desert with a double S. But it was very interesting to also know that your salt got mentioned in Master Chef, if I'm not wrong. So that must be
Yes,
also,
yes.
yeah. So how did that happen? That
So
mention.
I don't know how they selected. They had this special episode on salts, and one of my chef friend, he straight away called me and he started congratulating me that your salt got selected on MasterChef, and I was like, I have not done anything. I don't know about it. Let me at least see the show to know what has happened. So it was a complete surprise to me. So there was an episode only on salt. So there were like five varieties of salts which they have presented to the contestants, and they have to cook a dessert using one of the salt which uh, they have to use. And in that category, the Rajasthan salt from which we call loon in our native language, hence the brand name loon. And I think it comes from the word lavan in Ayurveda. So it was pretty, it gave me this recharge when you are working on something, and sometimes you feel, things are not, uh, you know, going your way, and you need some push from the nature around you. And sometimes the such push I get from these things happening around me. So when I saw that thing on and people calling me and recollecting that, okay, Himanshu is doing such loon salts, was a really good feeling, when people started calling and they could remember me when they see the show. So they was watching the show. So that was really good thing uh, to experience. having it on MasterChef, and the way uh, the chef explained on the show was terrific. It's rain falls, it seeps all the minerals, and the best part of this salt is that it's very mild in taste. So when you put it on tongue, after 5 to 10 seconds, you will not feel there is no aftertaste. So it's a very mild salt, which I feel makes it very special in cooking, because when you are adding any mild salt to your food, it will never dominate the flavor of your food. So it kinds of gives you makes you feel the other flavors of the food. So it was a very good experience to having it seen on the TV by the name Loon.
That's really fabulous. So, I mean, that's like a thumbs up that you can definitely use this salt even for making dessert, of course, because I'm sure that I'm. Like there are a lot of baking recipes which have got desserts predominant, like sorry, salts predominantly. So it's like a win-win. If you can add this, and I'm sure the way you have put out a certain amount of transparency when it comes to your process, it's very fantastic, because today's consumers, like as an individual also, we are aware and we want to use the best, because whatever we ingest, even like in our food, or even when we apply anything on our body, it all does get digested on a cellular level. So it's very important to really make the right choices and be an aware consumer as to how your product is being sourced, because that is something which most of us today are very concerned about, especially with so much of pollution. There's been so much of environment change which is happening, and there are factors which are beyond our control. So these are small choices really, which we can make and which are in our capacity. So yeah, definitely that was very good to know and informative that you're maintaining the transparency, and that's something very much needed in today's day and age. So, as we talk about today's day and age, we are currently all locked down in our homes, because we are facing this very challenging time, which is the pandemic, COVID-19. And it's come at a point when I think none of us were ever expecting something like this to happen. And it's impacted us all. Like, it's had its own impact on different industries, and of course as individuals we were also not prepared for this. So it's very disheartening, but at the same time it's the right decision. We must stick with the regulations and guidelines and follow them, because that is for our own well-being. So I mean, how are you handling this whole situation, and how does business looks like post the COVID-19 for you?
Okay. So to begin with, salt being an essential commodity, as soon as we had the lockdown, we approached the authorities and asked them, salt being uh, a essential commodity, we should be given permission to start the production with limited capacities. So we got the permission from the authorities. We got a very limited capacity to operate, and we are supplying to our customers, not only in India but we abroad as well. So we are exporting our salts to 7 countries as we speak. So we have been doing our export shipments as well during this lockdown. And salt being again something which you can't live without, is having a demand coming from the market. And I still believe, after the virus, I can already see the FMCG ads on the TV. Everything has become now giving you immunity. So every product is talking about immunity. So better immunity you can only have when you are having better food. Better if you intake anything which is good, obviously it will assist in having a better immunity. So I think post COVID, people would be really interested to know what they are eating, how this product is being made, how this product is being handled. And I feel people would prefer, food which is probably cooked by themselves, because right now everybody is cooking at home, so they're getting used to it. So they might not shift 100% to the old ways before the COVID, and they would try to have their own cooked meal, say at least once in a week or couple of days in a week, uh, just to make it, just to ensure they are having the best of the situation they have at hand. And I've read many articles where people are saying that working from home is good for IT industries economically also. So when you are working from home, then probably you would prefer to cook something on your own and have it. So that time you would be very conscious in selecting the ingredients, because once you are cooking at home, you pick your own ingredients, and you would be more looking at your ingredients. And what I feel when I choose any ingredients, uh, I always look at the backside of the packaging. So I always try to see if I know the ingredients, there are no chemicals in it, or some stabilizer, some acidity regulators, or something which is trying to maintain the shelf life of the product. So anything which is uh, clean in terms of ingredient and has a good nutritional value, uh, uh, that's the pick. That's gonna be the pick for your consumption. That's what I feel people would think about, while purchasing any of their. And if buying anything raw is the best, has no packaging on it, nothing on it, is the best buy. So I think people are at home, they are reading, they are watching a lot of content, and there would be certain impact for sure in terms of selecting what we are consuming. That's what I feel.
Yes, definitely. Yes,
So
thank you.
one more point I would like to, people would not look at uh, the star on the packaging on the front side. Probably they should look at the back side, because the real star is on the back side. Your ingredients, your nutritional panel, these are the real stars. They should be printed on the front side, and probably the rest can go on the back side, which is not important post COVID. So I think the consumer should think the other way around and try to read whatever is written in a microscopic. Like when you see TV ads, the important things are written in microscopic at the bottom.
Mm,
So something is there, which they are putting it in such a microscopic language, because they don't want people to read it. So we have to be very wise and intelligent in terms of what is what is shown to us, what is delivered to us, what we are consuming. If we control it by 10% also, your body will have 10% impact, good impact. So there are moments when you say, "Oh, I'm eating outside one meal. What difference it's gonna make?" So I still feel if you do one Surya Namaskar, it will give you at least a benefit of doing one. If you do it 100, it will give you 100 ka benefit. So every bit counts. So we should, wherever it's possible, we should, you know be very alert in what we are doing and what we are consuming, and try to control. That's what I feel.
yes. Yes, thank you for sharing in that important message, because yes, this is something which is very true. And also moving forward, we're trying to have a very sustainable lifestyle. So yes, like as much as the packaging is less, that is of course going to be the way forward, because we don't want to overload our ecosystem more with waste. So that is something which definitely we look forward to. And yeah, you have been very helpful. You've shared so many useful insights, coming from your background. You're a chemical engineer, so I think making a product which is chemical free really is something which has been forte, and I think that is something, a very good assurance which can be given to the consumer. So that is very important. So thank you so much, Himanshu, for coming in, and I really wish you all the very best with Loon, and I also look forward to the range of products which you're planning in the future as well. So good luck for that as well.
Welcome, Nikita, and definitely post lockdown you will have your portion of salt definitely delivered by us. Before this COVID, we had developed a prototype in January for an exhibition where we have developed a zero plastic pack for
Oh,
salts. So that pack does not have any plastic. So it's like a like you have this Pringles container which has the cardboard thing and a tin on the top on the bottom. So you can use it as many times. But again, the challenge is when you buy a refill, again it's packed in plastic. So we are constantly trying to find ways how we can just avoid using plastic. Salt being very hygroscopic, it absorbs a lot of moisture from the air. It's a challenge, but I still feel human civilization has lived many years without plastic, then with plastic. So there is possibly there is a possibility of a sustainable packaging, not in terms of just saying it, but in applying it and doing it. So at Loon Salts, we will definitely try our best. Like as I said in the in the processes also, like when we source this salt from the desert, uh, we are not doing any chemical process. It's just harvested from the salt pans. We get it to our factory and we just do mechanical cleaning, meaning we remove whatever is not salt. So probably a stone or a dried piece of a wood, something which is there from the nature, which has come in touch with the salt and which is not salt. So just try it by hand picking it or sieving it or blowing it through using air. So we are not washing our salt, because when you wash the salts, it drains all the minerals out of it and it increases the sodium level of the salt. So naturally the salt does not have a high sodium. So I cannot back it up with any uh, study, but I still feel since we are using a lot of salts which is processed and which has 99.9% NaCl, hence we are having these high blood pressure issues and all the issues which are related to the salts, because when you wash any salt, it washes all the minerals out and it gives you more higher sodium level of salt, which was not there before we entered into industrialization of salt. So I think we'll keep continuing the salt as raw. The nature has created it. We'll just do basic cleaning to it, pack it in something which is sustainable, and in that way, we are not just delivering a good salt, but a good lifestyle as well.
thank you so much, Himanshu. Um, and
Welcome.
I'm sure our viewers are also going to find this equally helpful. So I think I would like to, I look forward from all my viewers. Please let me know if you like this video, and please leave us a comment. You can give us a thumbs up, like if you really enjoyed this interaction, and I look forward to making more such useful interaction videos. So let me know, and take care. Make Ayurveda a way of life. Namaste.